If weight loss feels harder than it should, if you have tried eating less, if you have starting over and doing all the right things, and your body still pushes back, on top of that, if you're using or you're thinking about using GLP-1 medications, but wondering what actually matters and what you should be focusing on, this episode is for you. And why is that? It's because insulin resistance changes all the rules when it comes to weight loss. And once you understand that, everything starts to make a lot more sense. You're not going to feel completely overwhelmed and clueless, but you are going to start understanding why your body is reacting the way that it does. Now, welcome to the Path to Better A1C podcast. I am your host, Jenny Pena. I am a national board certified health and wellness coach. I am a diabetes prevention program lifestyle coach and founder of Gen P Coaching, as well as the creator of my signature program, the A1C Reset Protocol, that helps you reset your blood sugar levels and gain control while incorporating sustainable habits. Now, I help busy professionals improve their insulin resistance, lower their A1C, lose weight, regain their energy, and feel in control of preventing diabetes by building sustainable habits. If you have been listening to my podcast, you know that I am so not into the extreme diets and extreme measures. It's about sustainability and consistency. Now, this episode officially kicks off my 2026 series on weight loss and insulin resistance. And it is my very first one that I am doing in video. Now, before we dive in, I want to tell you about a brand new resource because this conversation is happening everywhere now. All of my coaching clients are talking about it, especially if they have a goal about losing weight. And the resource is called What to Focus on When Using GLP-1s. Because I know GLP-1 medications can be incredibly helpful, but they're a tool. They're not the plan. And this guide is going to walk you through certain things that you need to keep in mind. What actually matters nutritionally, how to support your blood sugar, hydration, and digestion, and how to use this as a phase that you can take advantage of and build habits because it's all about building those sustainable habits that will last beyond the medication. So many people are talking about what am I going to do when the medication is over? Is everything going to bounce back? Well, you're supposed to build habits while you're on the medication. And you can grab that at subscribepage.io/GLP1. But I will make sure that I put all the information on the description in the episode. Now, let's get started with the topic of today, and that is what insulin resistance actually is. And I want to try to explain it as simple as possible so that you can get an understanding. Insulin is a hormone. It's a hormone that helps move sugar from your bloodstream into your cells. So your body can actually use that glucose for energy. Now, with insulin resistance, what your body starts doing is that your cells are not responding efficiently to it. And what the body does to compensate is in making more insulin. And it's all because obviously the body is trying to keep that blood sugar level under control. Now, if this happens repeatedly over time, this higher insulin environment actually encourages your body for fat storage. And that makes fat loss even harder. And then on top of that, it increases your hunger, it increases your cravings. I'm here to tell you, a lot of people think that, why is it that I cannot control this? This is not about willpower. It's not a willpower issue. It's a metabolic environment issue. It's something that your body has been building up and which is harder to get your body to use that fat for energy. Now, what are some of the symptoms that people often overlook? Because that's like one thing that a lot of people tell me. How do I know? Well, insulin resistance often develops very quietly. Like it's not something that's so obvious and it's not something that is overnight. Now, common but very overlooked signs include stubborn weight gain when you're seeing that it's coming up and you actually don't know how it's happening, especially around the midsection, feeling a little bit sleepy or foggy after meals, and feeling that strong sugar and carb craving on top of that 3 p.m. energy crash that I think we are all familiar one way or another. And then you add feeling a little bit moody, shaky, maybe irritable. And for many women, also insulin resistance tend to overlap with other hormonal patterns. And that's what seems to be common for a lot of women to manage PCOS. Now, these symptoms don't diagnose, so please don't walk out of this episode saying you have insulin resistance. But together, these symptoms tell an important story, something that you shouldn't ignore. Why weight loss feels harder with insulin resistance? When insulin resistance stays elevated, hunger signals get louder, the cravings feel more urgent, and your body becomes protective of stored weight. So it's almost like getting into that fight or flight mode. You're holding on to every calorie, you're storing all that fat. It's like a bear, right? Storing fat for the winter. So that's exactly what your body's doing. And this is why being told to just eat less often backfires because it actually leads to more blood sugar crashes. It leads to rebound eating and it also leads to frustration. Now, weight loss with insulin resistance requires a few things. You need to work on your blood sugar stability. You need to focus on improve that insulin sensitivity and also adequately support your stress management, finding ways to manage stress, improve your sleep, and also balance your hormones. That's why if you're premenopause, you may have to deal with this because of all the hormonal changes. I know GLP-1s are a great tool, but they are not just a magic wand that is going to fix everything. And we're going to talk about that in a couple of more episodes. Now, I want to talk to you about, these patterns. Have a conversation with your doctor. I cannot diagnose, you cannot diagnose yourself, but a doctor can look at certain things. So share with your doctor, and I'll give you the script. I'm concerned about my insulin resistance. You can come and say that. I'm experiencing energy crashes, cravings. I am having a hard time losing weight. And is it possible for me to get some labs related to blood sugar and metabolic health? You can just tell them that. And some of these labs are A1C levels, fasting glucose. Another area that shows a lot of metabolic issues would be lipid panels, right? Like looking at the triglycerides, HDL, cholesterol levels. Get that comprehensive metabolic panel if possible. And sometimes there's some doctors that will use fasting insulin. It's not as common in the US, but maybe in your country it is. But it will depend on your provider and your insurance. So talk to your doctor. Also ask about trends. Just because your levels are normal, everything is okay. Because I have had clients that their A1C levels have been slowly increasing and they notice that and they're able to get it down. Now, insulin resistance rarely Insulin resistance rarely exists on its own. It's commonly linked to prediabetes, increased risk of type 2 diabetes, PCOS, and metabolic syndrome. And I know I've been mentioning metabolic syndrome quite a lot. So let's explain what metabolic syndrome is. It's a cluster of risk factors. It's not just having one risk factor or two, it's having a cluster. And what is that? Well, when you're having weight gain around the midsection, when you're having elevated blood sugar, or if you're seeing high triglycerides, elevated blood pressure, and all these things show that the insulin resistance is often that common thread that connecting all the patterns. A lot of my clients that have prediabetes, they typically start showing higher levels of cholesterol. They start seeing their blood pressure being elevated. It's all connected, and it's that metabolic combination of things. Now, can insulin resistance improve or be reversed? The good news is that yes, insulin resistance is not permanent. And there's research out there that shows that it is more of a dynamic condition. So you can actually improve it and you can often reverse it, especially when addressed early. So it's connected to that. And that's why I am so passionate about prediabetes and diabetes awareness, just because the sooner you start acting, the better it is for you to be able to reverse it. When insulin sensitivity improves, what happens is that your blood sugar stays stable, no more blood sugar roller coaster, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Like that, those spikes and those drops, and then your hunger becomes a bit more predictable. So now you're having more control of those cravings. Cravings ease a little bit. Your energy improves tremendously. You're going to have more focus. You're going to be able to not feel those foggy episodes like you need a siesta. And weight loss often becomes easier as a result. So you see like all the benefits of actually managing your insulin sensitivity well. Now, at a high level, insulin resistance improves when the body receives consistent supportive signals. It's all about the signaling. Some key areas that typically as a coach would work and support individuals that are trying to improve their insulin sensitivity is nutrition, focusing on balanced meals that have protein and fiber. You already know me, PFF, protein, fiber, and fat. Now, the other area is muscle and movement because muscle tissue improves insulin sensitivity and they need that glucose in order to function. Sleep, that's another element that will impact cortisol, and cortisol affects that blood sugar regulation. Now, consistency over restriction is key. So, I already mentioned nutrition, sleep, stress, movement, and being consistent. Now, here's what I would love for you to do after listening to everything that I just shared. Pick one focus for this week. Either make sure you add protein at breakfast, or look at your snacks and clean up your snacks, or focus on hydration. And you can even pick to slow down for your meals. Remember, consistency matters more than perfection. So start with one thing, commit to one thing, and stick to it and see how it helps. Now, if you found this helpful, follow the podcast so you don't miss the rest of the series. Share it with a friend, share it with a family member. Maybe they're navigating weight loss. Maybe they suspect they have insulin resistance. Maybe when I went through the symptoms, you were like, it sounds like this person. Check the show notes or that GLP-1 guide. I'm going to put everything in the show notes. I will see you on the next episode.